Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to JobsOhio Board Meeting Q1. Now, please welcome Chairman Josh Rubin.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. Great day to be in Lima. It is great to be here this morning. We are going to call to order our March 7th Board of Directors meeting of JobsOhio. And I want to start by just saying how great it is to be here in Allen County in Lima at the Ohio State University Regional Campus, and of course home to our esteemed Ohio Senate Leader, Matt Huffman. We've been here for a couple days now, and everybody has been so very kind and generous. So both to the people of Lima and to the university, we can't thank you enough for your warm and generous hospitality. We continue to host these quarterly board meetings in different parts of the state because we all want to make sure that JobsOhio is working for all of Ohio, and Allen County is a great example of that. Our Vibrant Communities program is having a big impact here, and we saw it at our reception last night. Over the past 5 years, we've seen nearly $1 billion in capital expenditures in Allen County alone. Overall, we are excited about the work we're doing here and in other parts of the state, and we're optimistic about the opportunities that we have in our pipeline, but we're also cautious as we continue to see an overall slowdown of deals being signed. As JP will tell you, the good news is that even with this slowdown, we continue to outpace our peers. But our mission is not just to bring jobs to Ohio, it's to keep them here. And importantly, the number of jobs we have retained year over year has increased. Our mission is also to make sure that we have an educated and trained workforce for the jobs of today and for the opportunities of tomorrow. And we continue to work on our talent initiative to make sure we have a strong workforce here in Allen County and across all 88 counties of our state. As many of you know, Lima is home to one of our great defense assets, the Joint Systems Manufacturing Center, or as a lot of us around the state know it as the Lima Tank Plant. The defense industry has a long and proud history in Ohio, and over the past several years, thanks in good part to General Lyles and our own CEO, JP Nassif, who in his own right was a captain in the U.S. Air Force. JP, we're looking forward to hearing more from you today on our work in the defense industry. And before we move on to the more formal agenda, JP, I also want to recognize your 5 years of service at the helm of JobsOhio. Under your steady leadership, the organization has accomplished so much, and everyone in Ohio should be encouraged by your passion and commitment to keep Ohio first in the nation in economic development. So thank you. With that, our first order of business is to approve the minutes from our December 7th meeting. The minutes have been distributed for review. Are there any questions, comments, or edits to the minutes?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Thank you. The next order of business is our President's report. JP, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Rubin, and thank you to the community of Lima and Allen County for hosting us last night for a wonderful, wonderful reception in the vibrant community of Lima. I also want to make sure I welcome our regional partners who are here with us today. Dean Monsky from the RGP, Kim Lauterbach from Ready Cincinnati, Kenny McDonald and Mark Patton from One Columbus, Bill Kaler from Team NEO, Katie Farber from Ohio Southeast, and Jeff Hoagland from my hometown, the Dayton region of Ohio. We're very grateful to be here at the regional campus of The Ohio State University. We welcome all of you and those that are watching via live stream. Thank you for making time for this board meeting. Governor DeWine captured the spirit and the substance of the President's report today in just 4 words. It's Ohio's time. Let me describe this for many reasons. I'll start with the most recent big news. Ohio is the only state in the nation to consistently place in the top 5 of Site Selection's Governor's Cup rankings for total economic development projects and projects per capita since 2019. That's important because Site Selection is a leading independent corporate real estate economic development magazine. Sounds exciting. Its ratings are often one of the primary grading systems for the economic development profession. So that's meaningful for the people and partners in our business at all levels. Based on their analysis of development projects across America, from 2023, Ohio secured the #3 spot for overall projects, and these projects were not just relegated to one metro area. They were distributed all across our state, resulting in top rankings for Ohio cities in virtually every size and every category of metropolitan area rated, including the highest number of top 100 micropolitans in the nation, which are small communities of less than 50,000 people, which are differentiating assets that our state has in abundance. We've come a long way to get here. Looking back 13 years ago, the situation wasn't nearly as optimistic. Between 2001 and 2010, Ohio lost over 18% of the jobs in the 10 critical high-wage industry sectors. And by 2011, Ohio's economy hit bottom. JobsOhio was created in 2011 as a unique construct, the first and only statewide private economic development corporation in America. JobsOhio was designed to rebuild and diversify Ohio's economy across 9 industry sectors. We work outside but closely alongside the state and come to the table with private resources from the profits earned from the efficient running of the JobsOhio beverage system, which celebrated its 11-year anniversary as an entity this year. We invest those resources to give Ohio businesses and communities a competitive advantage in the fierce competition for industrial expansion, job creation, and workforce attraction. The progress has been transformational as Ohio has pivoted from the bottom to a turnaround story between 2011 and 2019. And since 2019, we have emerged as a clear national leader for economic growth. Site Selection Magazine's Global Groundwork Index recently rated Ohio as the #1 state in America for economic development since 2019. And that's based on job creation, capital investment, and strategic infrastructure. Since 2011, Ohio has successfully secured more than 217,000 new job commitments and over $117 billion in investments in Ohio's 10 targeted industry sectors. Now, there are many factors at play to secure this kind of extraordinary achievement, starting with the industriousness of Ohio's workforce and competitiveness of our business climate, all of which are empowered by collaboration and the outstanding work of Team Ohio. And the success of every team starts with leadership. And Ohio has benefited from visionary policies of the DeWine-Husted administration, working closely with the Ohio legislature, and all working together with JobsOhio and our regional partners statewide. Ohio is now #1 in GDP in the Midwest. We've been #1 in labor productivity growth rate in the Midwest since 2013. We're #2 for foreign direct investment in the nation, a big deal with the onset of reshoring. And we've been #2 for mega project investment for 2 years in a row. Ohio's national leadership was born out of an evolution of strategy and the guts to be bold and invest in the face of adversity. Let's look at our mandate in 2019, followed then by the first year of the pandemic in 2020. The governor challenged JobsOhio to lean in and position Ohio for success, and that's what we did. JobsOhio added talent initiatives, expanded our sites program, launched $3 billion in innovation district investments, fought to secure more commercial airline service, added a new sector to our 9-sector priority list, Ohio's military and federal installations, which support the outstanding men and women who serve and their families and the missions. We'll talk more about the military and federal strategy later this morning. We then introduced a growth capital fund to ensure Ohio's entrepreneurs had the capital required to grow, and an aggressive, high-profile marketing initiative to attract businesses and workforce as they left high-cost and congested large cities on America's coasts. We also added investments to enable access to broadband, support a quick pandemic recovery, and build our world-class Ohio workforce. By expanding our strategies to enable Ohio to improve our competitive position in the market, JobsOhio has exceeded our own high water marks for new jobs, capital investment, payroll, customer service, all of which led to an ever-increasing return on investment for Ohio. How do we measure this return on investment? Well, for every dollar JobsOhio invests in incentives and services, that investment must return more dollars to the state in payroll taxes on the net new jobs they added. That's our rule for every deal JobsOhio executes, and our commitment to our board and all Ohioans. In fact, each dollar JobsOhio has invested since 2011 has resulted in $17 in payroll taxes and fees to Ohio's Treasury, which can then be used for services to improve the lives of all Ohioans. I love this slide. First, it shows big names and big wins across the map, mega projects like Intel for semiconductors, LG Energy Solutions, and Honda and Ford, GM, Altium Cells for EVs and car batteries, Amazon Web Services for data centers, WorldPay for financial services, and MedPace for health research. I call out our air service restoration initiative for 3 reasons. We don't always have to pay the incentives because Ohioans are using these services. British Airways and Aer Lingus only expanded in 2 markets in North America last year. Both were at Ohio airports. And here's the kicker. WorldPay's CEO, and I'm going to quote, "The new direct flight from Cincinnati to London significantly contributed to the decision to make our corporate headquarters in Greater Cincinnati, connecting us to our customers worldwide." So these strategies integrate with each other and they make a difference. And this is an impact that fuels economic growth and Ohioans' quality of life. In 2020, we added the growth of small businesses and redevelopment of Ohio's small towns to our list of priorities. This was not about fairness or charity. This was about competitiveness. For Ohio to compete with larger states, we need to make sure that all Ohioans in every corner of the state have the opportunity to participate. And to date, we have completed, alongside our regional partners, 490 of these projects across 4 categories that support small business, vibrant communities, broadband access, and other critical needs. One example of our Vibrant Communities program will be opening in May right here in Lima. Working with HAFI, Harmony Real Estate, the Regional Growth Partnership, the City of Lima, Downtown Lima, Inc., the Allen County Board of County Commissioners, Port Authority of Allen County, the Allen County Economic Development Group, the Lima-Allen County Chamber of Commerce, Greater Lima Region, Inc., and the Toledo-Lucas County Port Authority. You get the idea. We work well together. We've learned to work well together, and as our Lieutenant Governor always likes to say, those who collaborate best win. Well, we're winning. And this is going to result in the renovation and revitalizing of 4 buildings that comprise the Spring and Main project. This project is a transformational investment in the southeast quadrant of downtown Lima that will create and retain over 130 jobs with $6 million in annual payroll. These economic development strategies are designed explicitly for communities like Lima that need a boost to attract investment and talent. Since 2020, we've invested in 21 of these vibrant communities across the state, rejuvenating valuable and differentiated assets, Ohio's small towns, which offer an exceptional and unique quality of life experience as we continue to compete for the workforce of the future. This provides them a unique and compelling option of where to live, work, and play. Now, before we turn to our 10th sector, Mr. Chairman, I see that our Lieutenant Governor is on the video. We'd love to hear from our Lieutenant Governor.
I want to thank all of you for your hard work, for the board members, for their service, to the JobsOhio staff for the great work that you do, and to our regional partners. It takes all of us working together to get this accomplished. One of the things that I really love about my job is I get to travel all around the state and see all of the variety of different things that occur around the state of Ohio. I have been in a lot of our rural counties recently, and I know you talked about the challenge or the success stories across the state. I'll just tell you a couple of places I've literally been in the last week and tell you their stories to really bring home how a rising tide does lift all boats. I was in Meigs County last week, where DPC Fabrication is going to add 45 new full-time jobs and $3.7 million in annual payroll, and they are going to be a supplier for the Intel project. Meigs County, as you know, is a small rural county in southeast Ohio, down by the Ohio River. And this is a big deal. 45 jobs in that county that are good paying jobs are a big deal. I also got some news from Adams County recently, where, if you remember, a few years ago, they lost some electric coal-fired power plants. And they talked about, hey, how can we rebuild some of that infrastructure and capture new business? Well, now that's the dock there is going to be the logistics point for a lot of the products or a lot of the infrastructure and equipment that Intel is importing to its site in Central Ohio. And you're going to see huge loads of equipment moving up through Adams County and creating opportunity there to support that site. So these are how the big projects lead to other opportunities in other parts of the state. And then literally yesterday, I was in Tuscarawas County over in the eastern part of the state, where Scheffler announced in the past week that they were going to add 650 new jobs in the EV auto mobility sector. And in Tuscarawas County, in the Dover, New Philadelphia area, there was a lot of excitement about that. And I visited the Career Center, because the last piece of this is that as we're growing all of these jobs, we have to have the talent. And talent means everything from biochemist PhDs to entry-level positions. And Governor DeWine and the legislature and our collective teams are investing. We announced this past week a lot of money to update machinery and equipment in all of our career centers. Just this last week, the investment that we made, around $70 million, will open up over 10,000 new opportunities for high school students to get skilled in the latest technology, helping prepare the staff and the teachers at these career centers and career high schools to prepare students for all of these jobs that are being created. So economic development is a huge collaborative effort between businesses and public policymakers and educators, and building that entire pipeline of opportunity, infrastructure, talent. And when we do it right, everybody benefits from it. And I've literally witnessed this with the presence that I've had in these counties over the last couple of weeks, seeing how everybody is working together. And we've got a lot of great momentum. We just got to stay hungry. We got to keep looking around corners and making sure that we're providing the energy that we're going to need, the workforce that we're going to need, and continue to have a can-do attitude, so that over the course of, you just see the GDP numbers. We're leading in GDP, but we want to be the dominant economic force of the Midwest, and show America that we are indeed the heart of it all, which we are. And I thank you for all of the work that you're doing to help make that happen.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for joining us today, and thanks for all your hard work. I am always amazed at the ability of both our Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted to make sure they get to every single nook and cranny of this state, and not just be there, but also make a difference there. So thank you very much for joining us. JP, I'll turn it back over to you to continue with the military federal sector update.
Thank you, Chairman Rubin, members of the board, and thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Now we'll turn to our 10th targeted sector, the military and federal sector. We added this as a specific JobsOhio focus area as part of JobsOhio 2.0 in 2019, but I can assure you that has been an important sector for our state for decades. Our goal is for Ohio to be recognized as the most military and veteran-friendly state in America, and as a result, secure the missions and retain the people that are vital to our nation, our national security, and our state's economy. It's a tall order. Getting there takes leadership, great teamwork, persistence, and collaboration. So we build a team worthy of the mission, Team Ohio. This is a unique, integrated team with stature and reach aligned with the governor, lieutenant governor, the Ohio legislature, our expert military advisors, our own JobsOhio experts, our regional partnership with the Dayton Development Coalition. The strategy leverages the entire JobsOhio and our network resources, including Find Your Ohio, our talent team, both of which are helping Ohio's military missions fill critical positions required to grow. The people you see here make up the core program and project team, and they have been aligned and focused on this mission for decades. General Mosley has been with us for 14 years, General Lyles for 21 years, General Owen for 11 years, General Thompson for 4 years, Colonel Zeiss for 20, and Jeff Hoagland since 2011. In fact, it was then U.S. Senator Mike DeWine, and then Ohio House Speaker John Husted, and then freshman Congressman Mike Turner, and then DDC advisor, retired General Les Lyles, and a younger and thinner version of J.P. Nassif, who rallied around Wright-Patterson Air Force Base before and during the 2005 base realignment and closure that we fondly refer to as the BRAC. The team delivered, and the impact has been extraordinary. That team's still with us today. When started as an effort to protect 19,000 jobs from a potential base closure, created an operating model to add new missions, people, all while supporting military families. While other military installations closed, Ohio gained and America gained. Wright-Patterson has nearly doubled in its inside the fence employment to 35,000 jobs. That's just inside the fence. And its economic impact has quadrupled from $4 billion to $19 billion annually. We are implementing that same model across the entire state of Ohio. We do this because it's part of our heritage. Ohio steps up, we serve. It's the right thing to do, and it strengthens our communities outside the fence line. Ohio is now number 3 in the Air Force civilian employees and ranks number 6 for veteran population in America. That concentration of training and expertise helps explain, in part, why Ohio is also the #1 supply chain partner for Boeing and Airbus, and why we have 2 of the top research institutes that serve Department of Defense clients, Battelle and the University of Dayton Research Institute. We can see the benefits of this strategy at the Joint Systems Manufacturing Center here in Lima. In 2019, JobsOhio mobilized our talent acquisition services team to support the hiring of more than 200 workers needed to ensure the latest generation of Abrams tanks would be built in Ohio by Ohioans. Mission accomplished. This 20-year military and federal effort has had a massive impact and in part led to Ohio's winning new industry partners such as Intel, Sierra Nevada Corporation, and Joby, and a sustained effort will have an even bigger impact into the future. Industrial mega projects siting decisions don't happen in a vacuum. The veteran workforce and the proximity to military research at the Licking County site were amongst factors that Intel found compelling in choosing Ohio. Those same military and federal customers responsible for acquisition and logistics and maintenance of the aircraft were key factors in Joby's decision to build its first production flying taxis and Sierra Nevada's decision to build its Aviation Innovation and Technology Center in Ohio, the first time work of that type is done on an Ohio airport since 1948. And now, with Intel in Ohio, we competed and won the very first CHIPS Act resource designation as one of 8 national hubs for the Defense Department's microelectronics program. This program could result in the creation of the next generation of Silicon Valley, the Silicon Heartland, right here in Ohio, and we intend to make that a reality. And now, I'm pleased to introduce the Managing Director of Jobs Ohio's Military and Federal Sector, Elaine Bryant, to update you on our progress statewide with this initiative. Elaine is a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy and served 20 years on active duty. And like many of us, she was not born or raised in Ohio, but came here through her service to the military and stayed. We're lucky to have her on our team, and we're looking forward to your update, Elaine.
Thank you, JP. Thank you to our board chair, Mr. Rubin, to our entire board and our amazing team of advisors. As a 20-year Air Force veteran and military spouse, I am humbled by the opportunity to be part of this amazing team working across the state with all of our partners to achieve our goals. I want to give a special recognition to Ryan Blackburn and Michael Dustman for all their hard work as part of the sector team. In 2023, the military and federal sector contributed to over 5,000 new and retained jobs across the state. These include the big wings like Joby and Sierra Nevada, as JP has already outlined for us today. But it also includes the amazing missions, including new Space Force Squadron. So as our newest Department of Defense service, we are honored to now have Space Force right here in our own backyard. It also includes a CapEx investment from the National Air and Space Intelligence Center at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, brand new SCIF facility. And with these expansions, we now can say that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is not only the largest single-site employer, but we now also have 1/3 of all Space Force intelligence in Dayton, Ohio. In 2023, Youngstown was also approved for new aircraft. New aircraft or aircraft of any kind can be said to be the holy grail of this sector in that we like having iron on the ramp. This summer, new C-130J model aircraft will be arriving at Youngstown Air Reserve Station, solidifying a unique mission for years to come in the Mahoning Valley and representing over an $800 million capital investment in the latest jets for not only our national security, but right here in Ohio. The collective state of Ohio advocacy efforts, including Mansfield, has put Ohio as a role model and leader. The Pentagon leadership continues to laud Mansfield and their transition to the first cyberspace wing in the National Guard as a playbook for other defense communities across the country. Been to several events, JP and the board, that these leaders from the SAFIE appointed secretaries have all said to the other states that have been in the room, you all need to look at Ohio and what they did at Mansfield. And while we look at iron on the ramp as that holy grail, we also understand that we have to be on the cutting edge of what is the fight. What are our adversaries doing? And by transitioning those aircraft to a cyberspace wing, Ohio is leading the way in this sector. So it's really exciting there. In addition, as Wright-Patterson continues to grow and the need for skilled workforce increases, the sector partnered with the Find Your Ohio program, connecting entities on the bases to transitioning military talent from around the world to come and live and work in Ohio. The sector and Find Your Ohio will travel to more than 15 military installations this year, highlighting Ohio as the #1 state for veterans and military families. Some of the other wins that we look at for our sector is that the sector is unique. We provide support to the other 9 industry sectors, primarily the advanced manufacturing, the aerospace, and also the tech sector, in that we use the assets from our active reserve and guard bases, and of course NASA Glenn, to attract companies to come and be near those mission partners, and that helps us grow those jobs on the industry side. And so we have many wins in addition to Joby and Sierra Nevada, as we've already mentioned. We have 9 additional projects that we completed in 2023 that fit into this category of wins. This adds another $11 million in capital investment, and these include larger defense contractors, but also include JobsOhio inclusion projects and multiple veteran-owned businesses. So that's really exciting to see that. And we want to continue to grow this with our network partners and their communities to look at more opportunities. As we look at the next slide, there's many federal investments that we also work on in our sector. So in addition to the projects, We invest our time in going around, not only understanding what's happening in the various communities and at the bases and at the installations, but how can we continue to advocate? The sector advocates strongly for these investments and jobs across the state. These wins often take years of advocating and strategic planning, working in sync with network partners, military leadership, and our state partners. So while some projects that we do in our other 9 sectors might take anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, maybe a long project is about a year. The projects that we do in our sector take years just to get started, just to build the relationships, just to understand the mission, to know where the installation is going. For example, in NASA right now, they're undergoing their strategic plan, and this is a 5 to 10 year plan. And so we're going to be looking at many opportunities to grow that. And so we're really excited for those. And as we continue to work closely with NASA Glenn Research Center, connecting industry partners to the center, as well as advocating for Space Force presence at NASA Armstrong Test Facility in Sandusky, Ohio, we continue to look at what those opportunities are. We also work with the Ohio National Guard, so our Adjutant General, General Harris, is a huge partner for us. We work with his staff closely to understand the Guard installations and what their missions are and how we can help advocate and expand their reach as well. And of course, as JP mentioned, advocating and securing over $2 million in appropriations last year for Joint Systems Manufacturing Center here in Lima. So we're very excited to be part of all of that. As we look at the next slide, our regional partners are so important to us. And when we stood the sector up, as JP mentioned, we're taking the playbook from what has been going on for years in Dayton. We're expanding that model. We have expanded that model across the state. But what's so amazing about Ohio is that many of these communities already had groups that were doing a lot of this. The Central Ohio Defense Group in Columbus, we have Toledo Chamber, we have, and I'm gonna miss some, but the Lima Task Force here in Allen County, so on and so forth. So a lot of folks were already doing this work, but what Jobs Ohio brought is now a state level advocacy and approach, and our ability to take some of the lessons learned in Dayton and help them expand their efforts, make their efforts stronger, including in Youngstown, they were able to win a defense community infrastructure grant for Youngstown. And so we took the lesson learned of how Dayton won that a couple years ago, and we shared it with those folks, and they've won, and we're continuing to do a lot of that work. So it's really exciting to work with all of those regional partners across the state, and we'll keep doing that. So if we go to our Hometown Heroes chart, this is one of the fun things that we do. This is something that was championed in Dayton by JP, Jeff Hoagland, I know Terry Slayball is here, General Owen. All our advisors have been supporters of this. And the reason that this is important is that the Hometown Heroes is a program designed to give tickets, whether it's to hockey games, baseball games, golf tournaments, concerts, to military members. If we want to be the #1 state for military and federal missions, we have to show the Department of Defense leadership, but also the families whose service members come to work here, why Ohio is special. And this is just a small way that we're able to do that. Since we expanded it as part of the sector from Dayton, we have surpassed 125,000 tickets donated to active duty military veterans and their families. These events continue to elevate Ohio as the most military-friendly state. At these events, the military and federal sector are able to connect local leaders to military leadership, creating those relationships that may not have commenced otherwise. For example, at the Cleveland Guardians baseball game last year, incoming commander of the Youngstown Air Reserve Station was throwing out the first pitch, but then connected with local leadership of the U.S. Coast Guard 9th District headquarters. And by the way, I'm going to brag a little bit about Cleveland and the 9th District headquarters up there on Lake Erie. They control all of the homeland security and the search and rescue for the Coast Guard right out of Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, that's just amazing. It's what we do. So very exciting to do that. We also connected them with the team at NASA Glenn. So Hometown Heroes is a huge part of our sector, and we are so excited to continue. Then I want to talk about the people, and JP hit on it in terms of we can't continue to have all these wins without making sure that the pipeline is strong. Ohio has had a huge presence at nationwide events showcasing our conferences from Air and Space Force Association. So 18,000 people saw what you're seeing on the screen, putting our nation's military first. We had generals, young airmen, all kinds of folks taking their picture in front of the Ohio signs, sending it and posting it on social media, and the droves of folks coming to our booth saying, hey, what's going on in Ohio? How can we retire there? How can we go back? And so it was really exciting to see that. And there's about 9,000 active duty service members in uniform that are retiring or looking to retire, and we're reaching out to those folks. This, along with our Find Your Ohio program, we continue to highlight the state as the great post-military destination and gives us an opportunity to showcase the state's military and federal ecosystem to the partners. On the last slide here, I just want to talk a little bit about one of the things that we're doing as we achieve our goal of being the #1 state for the military members. We want to make sure that they know everything that we have to offer. So we have put together this military-friendly guide. It's a one-stop resource combining earned benefits for veterans into one easy, mobile-friendly place. We have worked with our state leadership, so our Department of Veterans Affairs uses this, and many others. So it is a one-stop, up-to-date place where you can find out why Ohio is so military-friendly. And in addition to this guide and many other efforts, Ohio was recognized and acclaimed in the inaugural edition of GI Jobs 2023 Guide to Military-Friendly States. JP, myself, and Alex Conley from Find Your Ohio were interviewed as part of the recognition and able to share what I have shared with you today. Ohio is the best place for military and federal missions, their military members, the employees, families, veterans, and the industry partners. The JO military and federal sector will continue to advocate and drive for federal jobs and CapEx to Ohio while contributing to all 9 industry sector retention and attraction growth. Thank you, sir.
Are there any questions for Elaine? Thank you, Elaine. We're very grateful for you and Ryan and Michael and your whole team, and to Jeff Hoagland for shepherding this effort, and the team for the statewide progress, and to our regional partners for embracing this and entering into a new effort. Thank you very much. Also joining us today, Mr. Chairman, are our 4 leaders mentioned earlier who have dedicated their lives to service to our military and our nation. All with outstanding credentials, they now lend their immense credibility as advisors to our state. With their help, we continue to make Ohio the most military and veteran-friendly state in the nation. Mr. Chairman, board members, if you turn your attention to the screens, we will now welcome these advisors for a panel discussion on our military and federal sector's work, the threat we are defending against, and the implications for Ohio's installations, industry, and workforce in this ever-changing geopolitical environment. Question 1. The generals, welcome and thank you for joining us. As you are all very aware, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is home to a worldwide logistics system, a world-class laboratory research function, and is the foremost acquisition and development center in the U.S. Air Force. It employs over 30,000 service personnel and civilians, making it the largest single-site employer in our state. As the Air Force executes the Great Power Competition Reoptimization Plan, can each of you speak to what opportunities exist for Ohio and why Ohio installations are uniquely positioned to support the changes that will come with the plan? General Lyles retired after a 35-plus year active duty career as a 4-star general at Wright-Patterson, overseeing the Air Force Materiel Command. He's a former Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force and is chairman of NASA's Advisory Council. Since retiring from active duty, General Lyles has served on many private sector boards, including General Dynamics, KBR, and as chairman of USAA. Governor Mike DeWine appointed him as a board member, JobsOhio, where he has served as chairman of the Compensation and Workforce Committee. General Lyles has served as an advisor supporting Ohio's military and defense strategies since he retired from active duty in 2003. General, we will start with you, sir.
JP, thank you very much. First, let me make sure, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, before we couldn't transmit properly. Thank you. JP, I'd be remiss if I didn't start by thanking Lieutenant Governor, Husted and Governor DeWine for their great support to not only Ohio in general, but particularly to the men and women of the United States Air Force, United States Space Force, and their families, as Elaine Branch so accurately and excellently described. I also want to thank JP, you and Chairman Rubin for your leadership of Jobs Ohio, and obviously recognize the exceptional board of Jobs Ohio. As JP mentioned, I had an opportunity to serve for a couple of years, 3 years, I think it was, with the Jobs Ohio board, and I miss that opportunity. It's great to see all of you, even if it's virtual. Let me just start, JP, by mentioning a letter signed out by Secretary of the Air Force Frank Kendall last September. It was to the airmen and guardians of the United States Air Force and the United States Space Force. And it outlined the excellent work that they're doing in securing our nation's strategy and national security and protecting this great nation of ours. But it also was sort of a call to arms, if you will, that we have a great power competitor that we now have to deal with and deal with earnestly. I will ask JP if you have an opportunity at some point to make sure that the men and women on the board of Jobs Ohio and other installations see that letter just to really understand the nature of the challenges that we have in front of us. I'll quote just a couple of comments from that letter, and since it was public, I don't mind mentioning some of the things that are stated in there. It says, while China has focused on creating the regional conventional force it needs and believes it needs, China is also dramatically expanding its nuclear force and its military space capabilities, and we cannot sustain deterrence by standing still. And when he's talking about the military in general, but particularly the Air Force and the Space Force. It's become clear, as he states in his letter, to the entire senior leadership team that we are not optimized for this great power competition. I will tell you, I have an opportunity and honor to serve on Secretary Kendall's advisory board. And when he, in a meeting earlier this year, at the beginning of the year, described the optimization that we need in our Air Force and the Space Force, and when he quoted those particular terms and stated that we're not ready for the particular competition, it really is very sobering when you hear those kinds of words coming from the leadership of the Air Force and the Space Force. We all take for granted the great capabilities we have in the Air Force, the great capabilities we have in our Space Force. But when you hear the leadership say that we're not ready for this kind of competition, it really smacks you right in the face. And so this great power competition is essentially underway. And we in the Air Force have to be prepared to make sure that we can meet every element of that. It essentially has four major pillars, if you will, developing the people that we need for our military, particularly Space Force and Air Force, generate readiness to make sure we're ready today with the capability we have, projecting power and exercising that power better than we've done in the past. And then last but certainly not least, developing integrated capabilities. And this last pillar, is the one that I think really hits home to Air Force Materiel Command more than any other. In a description in more detail about this great power competition and re-optimizing for this great power competition, there's several things that are outlined that talk about the needs that really affect Air Force Materiel Command. I'll mention just a few of them, if you will. There's going to be a creation of a new Information Dominance Systems Center within Air Force Materiel Command. Those of us who are part of the advisors, particularly those of us who have been so intimately involved with Air Force Materiel Command throughout our careers, know that primarily affects the Electronic Systems Center at Hanscom Air Force Base outside of Boston. But the leadership of that activity will be Air Force Materiel Command at Wright-Patterson. There's also going to be an expansion of the Nuclear Weapons Center that exists today to become the Air Force Nuclear Systems Center within Air Force Materiel Command. A greater role, greater involvement in the great nuclear activities and nuclear development activities and operations that will be under Air Force Materiel Command. There's going to be a refocus, if you will, of the Life Cycle Management Center that exists at Air Force Materiel Command, particularly at Air Force at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that that Life Cycle Management Center was, in some respects, the creation of Lieutenant General J.T. Thompson. And that's going to be refocused, and it will become the Air Dominance Systems Center to synchronize aircraft and weapons competitive development and product efforts and support for the entire Air Force. And then there's going to be the establishment of an integration development office within Air Force Materiel Command to provide technology assessments and roadmaps for the future. So every one of those things and many, many more that are outlined in this reoptimization for the great power competition really affects Air Force Materiel Command and Wright-Patterson specifically, and there's a lot of things that will be going on. And I know anytime you talk about something like that, people worry about jobs. Let me just say that I was very, very pleased in my strategic advisory role for Secretary Kendall to hear him talk about the things that are going to take place, particularly at Air Force Materiel Command. So to me, this is a growth, if you will, opportunity for AFMC, and it will continue to be the excellent organization to serve not only the Air Force and Space Force today, but certainly many, many, many years in the future. And JP, I'll just stop right there, if you will.
Thank you very much, General Lyles. General J.T. Thompson is former commander of both the U.S. Air Force's Life Cycle Management Center, that General Lyles referenced, and the U.S. Space Force's Space and Missile Systems Center at Los Angeles Air Force Base, just to name a few of his key posts from his 36 years in uniform. He now sits on several corporate boards, directing and advising public, private, and employee-owned aviation, space, and defense-related companies and communities. He has been an advisor to Ohio's strategies for over 4 years. General Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, JP. So first, can we get a comm check?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Well, as is typically my lot in life as a retired 3-star, I have to get up and follow the retired 4-star, who is a national treasure and one of the smartest men I've ever met. So all hats off to General Lyles, and I'll try and do my best to live up to the expectations of the board and the audience with respect to what my remarks are. I think that first and foremost, I need to mention to everybody, given all the hyperbole that's in the media, all of the evaluations of the United States military, and particularly evaluations of the Air Force and the Space Force, I just want to calm the audience here just a little bit and say that in both our aviation assets and capabilities and in our space assets and capabilities for the United States of America, we continue supremacy over those of our large adversaries like China and Russia. That said, both of those adversaries, China and Russia, in all domains have improved their capabilities at a breathtaking rate. Their rapid growth of new capabilities to challenge us across multiple domains for the state of Ohio, particularly the air domain and the space domain, is really remarkable. And so I could probably talk for about an hour about that, about space threats and air threats and what your United States military has to deal with. But let me just give you a couple of items that I think are really important. Number one, if you just go back 5 years, in the last 5 years, China has more than doubled their satellites on orbit. That doubling of their satellites on orbit reflects both new capabilities that impact both theirs and our national security and both of our economies. In other words, their rapid ascent in terms of abilities is putting at risk many of our capabilities. Some of those capabilities are what I would call passive. They are establishing their own positioning, navigation, and timing constellations similar to our GPS constellation. But many of the satellites that they have fielded have what I would call space warfighting applications. In other words, things that the United States military and the United States writ large should be much more concerned about relative to the capabilities of China and the Chinese Communist Party. In addition to that, the Russians, and if you've just been following recent media, our very own Chairman Mike Turner from the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and also a member of the House Armed Services Committee, just several weeks ago started a conversation about Russian capabilities in terms of putting nuclear weapons in orbit. Those are things that the Air Force and the Space Force are absolutely concerned about and needing to address as part of great power competition. So this great power competition reoptimization that General Lyles so articulately outlined really comes down to a few things from my perspective. Number one is refocus on China and Russia. Get organized, get ready for high-end competition where deterrence might fail, and if deterrence fails, we absolutely need to prevail. Be more integrated in terms of making sure that weapon systems communicate better, more reliably in a contested environment, and deliver those capabilities that are needed for that fight in a faster way. Developing integrated capabilities on as quick a timeline as we possibly can. The state of Ohio and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base play huge roles in all of those things. If you look at just Wright-Patterson Air Force Base inside the fence line, the National Aerospace Intelligence Center and the National Space Intelligence Center provide the foundational technical intelligence required for the United States to know what enemy systems, what adversary systems can do both on orbit and in the atmosphere. That data, that information is very important in the development of our capabilities, not just for defensive perspective, but also from an offensive perspective. What can we do against these new capabilities? Cutting edge secret sauce science and technology is provided inside the fence line at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base by Headquarters Air Force Research Lab, which is one laboratory supporting two different services, both the Air Force and the Space Force. That technology is what is needed for us to maintain our supremacy and, if possible, accelerate our supremacy away from our adversary. And then finally, and I know many of you know this, but I'll just foot stomp it, there are dozens of program offices across the world of fighter aircraft, bomber aircraft, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft, mobility aircraft, aerial refueling aircraft at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base that are absolutely essential in delivering combat capability to our warfighters around the planet. That's the reoptimization inside the fence line. Before I conclude, though, I just want to emphasize from a statewide perspective how important other federal entities are. Things like, and as Ms. Bryant mentioned earlier, things like NASA Glenn and their capabilities in space communications, space power, in-space propulsion, hypersonics, space test and evaluation. Those kinds of things are absolutely essential for our national security, not just our civil space programs and returning to the moon and going to Mars. Those capabilities have equal impact on our military space capabilities that we use to help defend our nation. And then finally, as JP very well laid out, I couldn't go any further without talking about, and I'm sure we will discuss this more, but we have to talk about the supply chain in Ohio and how well it supports our national security infrastructure across aviation and space assets. That growth that JP depicted in his earlier charts is absolutely essential to developing and maintaining a really robust environment for innovation in both air and space areas. And I'm sure, as I said, that we'll talk some more about that. Thanks very much, JP. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you for being here, and thank you, General Thompson. Next, General Tom Owen. He has an extensive background in military logistics and served as the commander of the Aeronautical Systems Center at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He has over 40 years of direct experience leading and managing highly complex aerospace programs as an acquisition and logistics leader. After retirement, he also served as a vice president at Lockheed Martin. As Aeronautical Systems Center commander, he led the Air Force's Center of Excellence to develop and acquire aeronautical systems. General Owen, since retirement, has been part of the Ohio team for 11 years. General Owen, what can Ohio do to emerge a leader from the reoptimization plan?
Thank you, Mr. Nassif, and I echo General Thompson's comments, only now you've made the problem even worse, having your excellent comments along with those of General Lyles. So I'll just mention, I want to expand a little bit, JP, in answering your question on General Lyles' fourth point that he said is part of the pillars of the Secretary Kendall's efforts, and that's to develop capabilities. And that really that's headquarters of developing, and that life cycle support of capabilities is what Wright-Patterson Air Force Base does. As General Thompson articulated, many of those key organizations there, I'd say that my perception of what is going on today is the urgency is very real, and that's where we have to just say we can't keep doing business as usual. We have to accelerate the change. The former chief of staff that's now the chairman, that was one of his catchphrases. I think he was onto something, but we have to do things faster. We also, I want to get up front, is despite all of the great federal and military people that we have, and you've seen that growth curve, we don't do it alone. We do it in partnership with industry, and we have to make sure that we're creating the environment that allows those partnerships and having the contracts that allow those contracts to expand. And again, that's what the federal and military employees there in the state of Ohio, both at NASA Glenn and at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, excel at. They work the leading edge of technology through the development and fulfillment of requirements to building, testing, fielding, and supporting those systems. And but my comment I want to make at this point is, but you can't build enough new systems fast enough. So, okay, there's these fifth-gen fighters. The F-35 is the one that's in production now. It's great, but you can't build enough F-35s fast enough. The sixth-gen fighter is still some years away. We've got a new bomber that's some years away. So what do? We have to upgrade the subsystems, the mission systems on the existing fleet of aircraft. And again, that's something that the men and women in the military structure, the uniformed and civilian employees, do that at Wright-Pat. And we, again, need to continue to do that, only do that at a faster pace. These weapon systems are around for decades, but the subsystems, the mission systems, are what we need to upgrade quickly. I think back to the years that I was the three-star commander at Aeronautical Systems Center, and I sat down with Congressman Turner and with Congressman Austria back in the 2009 through 2012 timeframe, and they asked me, what can we do to get more of these federal dollars? You spend billions, millions and millions of dollars there at Wright-Pat. What can we do to spend more of those dollars in Ohio? Well, that didn't just happen naturally. You saw the growth in people on base. You've seen the growth and the businesses that surround the federal and military installations. That's a conscious, long-term effort led by the likes of JobsOhio and Dayton Development Coalition and the other regional authorities that have been able to do that. So I think that's an answer to your question, JP. That's how you do it. It's conscious thought about how you create those partnerships between the various areas, have the agreements with both the federal and military employees as well as the industries and surround those areas to deliver the results. And we're seeing that. We just need to do it faster. And thank you again for allowing me to participate today. Mr. Nassif, over to you.
Thank you, General Owen, very much. And finally, we have General Michael Buzz Mosley, a former fighter pilot and a four-star general who served as the 18th Chief of Staff for the U.S. Air Force and a Joint Chiefs of Staff member. He was a senior uniformed Air Force officer responsible for the organizing, training, and equipage of over 700,000 active duty, Air National Guard, Air Force Reserve, and civilian personnel serving worldwide. In his role, General Mosley also served as the nation's senior airman and provided military and military advice and counsel to the President and National Security Council on operational planning programming issues relative to global air, space, and cyberspace operations. Since his retirement from active duty, he served in several advisory roles to public officials and private industry alike, and he has been part of Team Ohio's effort for 14 years. General Mosley, please have the final word on what opportunities Ohio should pursue during the execution of this reoptimization plan.
JP, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Lieutenant Governor, thank you. Chairman of JobsOhio, Sully, Elaine, it's good to see you guys, and thank you so much for taking the leadership role in something that matters so much to our country right now. Let me take a slightly different tack. The American military, particularly the U.S. Air Force, has been in combat and combat deployments for 34 consecutive years. 34 years. The first wing deployed into the eastern province of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the late summer of 1990. And your Air Force has not come home from the Middle East for 34 years. Think how many deployments that has manifested over that period of time. Ocean crossings, time away from families, birthdays, softball games, etc. 34 years of combat. There's another side of that, which are likely opponents or competitors in this global stage have watched us for 34 years. They've effectively gone to school on how we do business, command and control wise, operationally, etc. And now we have a bit of a different dynamic. In the last few years, China has upped its military budget close to 100%. Who would have thought 3 years ago that we would be facing with our coalition and NATO partners a land war in Europe? Who would have thought that we would be working closely with our Israeli partners to respond to horrific terrorism attack against the people of the state of Israel? Who would have predicted 2 years ago or a year ago that China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran are actually collaborating with each other and providing support for each other, exchange of technologies and equipment? So this is a slightly different place we're at right now. Yes, we've been deployed and in combat for 34 years. Yes, there is a land war in Europe. Yes, there is response to a horrific terrorism attack in the Middle East. Yes, there have been vocal threats across the board to the Republic of Taiwan. Yes, the North Koreans have developed missiles, but up until recently, these have been independent entities. Now this is a collaborative effort. This is a group of people that are exchanging ideas and technologies. They're exchanging equipment. They're rearming each other. So the notion that we've heard from dear friends of mine, the last three speakers, we're in a slightly different place right now than we have been in the past. The speed of technology, a technological change in the adaptation to military equipment is unbelievably faster than it has been in the past. And I'm not talking just hypersonic technology. I'm just talking the ability to take an idea field an idea and militarize an idea is exponentially faster than it's been for years and years. So what can we do about that? How do we organize, train, and equip ourselves to deal with that? General Lyles mentioned that the Secretary of the Air Force, Mr. Kendall, has come out with some notions about how to make this better, and I think we all applaud that. I think the recognition of the challenges that we're facing is the first step. The recognition of the challenges and what is the consequence of failure, I think, is the first step in beginning to understand what we really need to do about this. So let me offer a thought from an old fighter pilot who spent a lot of time in the Middle East and Asia. These threats are real. The notion of American presence in the world and the stability that the American presence has offered is at risk. And so Chairman Turner, we are blessed to have him in Congress as running the Intel Committee, chairman of the Intel Committee, also the Armed Services Committee, I think sees this very clearly. And I think Wright-Patterson is in a unique place to offer leadership and the capabilities. I used to preach quite often that Wright-Patterson is one of the Air Force's crown jewels because of the talent and the skill sets that's there. So, JP, let me close by saying these threats are real. This notion of Chinese adventurism and Chinese desires to excel and have a presence on a global stage is real. The threats to stability in Europe from a Russian invasion of the Ukraine is real. The threats that we see of Iran and Iran surrogates is real, similar with North Korea. So let me get off the stage by saying Wright-Patterson is uniquely positioned with its skill set and the experts that are there to look at how to field systems faster, how to bring technology to bear, how to think through this problem and offer the existing chief of staff and service secretary opportunities and options, because this is not going to go away. And we are still in combat in the Middle East. I mean, we lost 3 great Americans a couple of weeks ago. We've got American hostages somewhere in Gaza. We've lost Americans in that horrific terrorist attack. So this is real. Administrations come and go, and administrations have different priorities, but the world has been a safe place because of American leadership and American presence. So I would hug every neck at Wright-Patterson in the labs and in the engineering, in the program offices, because that's going to take us to this world that we're facing right now. How to field systems faster, how to maintain systems better, how to adapt to change. That's what Wright-Patterson is good at and has been good at for decades. So JP, thanks for the opportunity to get the last word in on the reality of the threats that we're facing, and thanks for the ability to join with three dear friends as well as yourself and Sully and Elaine. God bless you for doing this, and thank you.
Well, thank you very much, General Mosley, and General Lyles, General Owen, and General Thompson. Given our time constraints today, we're going to have that as the last word for this segment, but I do welcome you to remain on for the ending of this board meeting. And again, I think our single biggest differentiator in Ohio's approach has been having advisors of this stature that continue to come back year after year, and having a governor, lieutenant governor, and a team that fully embrace this strategy. It has implications beyond our economy, beyond our heritage. It has national security implications, and we're very grateful that all of you and all of our advisors are willing to join this effort with us. Thank you very much, Chairman Rubin. This concludes my report.
Thank you, JP. It is certainly both humbling and reassuring to hear from these generals and know that they're helping both our nation and our state. So thank you all very, very much. Next order of business is to go through our committee reports. where each of our committee chairs reports out on the work that's been going on. I will start with the executive committee report that we held yesterday. In our executive committee, which is made up of the chairs of the standing committees, we heard updates from each of our chairs, which you will hear here in a minute. Just want to again say thank you to each of our chairs for all the time and work and effort they put into this each and every day. Also want to make a special thanks to our fellow director, Rick Platt, who has graciously agreed to take over as chair of the Workforce and Compensation Committee. And a thank you again to General Lyles for doing such a great job on that committee in the past, and also for Dr. Thornton, who is joining us on video for serving as acting chair over the past several months. Of course, this also puts Rick on the executive committee. So Rick, thank you for taking the time to serve. We appreciate it very much. Next report would be the audit committee, and I will turn it over to you, Lori.
Thank you. The audit committee of the JobsOhio Board of Directors met yesterday, approving the minutes of each previous meeting as the first item of business. The committee received the quarterly report on compliance activities from Managing Director for Enterprise Risk, Claudia Harrington, as required by the corporation's whistleblower policy for the benefit of the committee. Ms. Harrington summarized her detailed report, and committee members discussed its content in detail. Also yesterday, JobsOhio interim CFO Andrew Dye provided detailed financial information to the committee for both the previous quarter and year to date, as well as detailed budget to actual reviews of expenditures and revenues for the same periods. Finally, General Counsel Don Grubbs reviewed the final details of the renewal of the corporation's suite of insurance policies. With that summary, I conclude my report. Chairman Rubin.
Any questions from the board for Lori? Okay, thank you. Mr. Platt, you are up.
All right, thank you, Chair Rubin. I'm pleased to expand my service to serve as chair of this committee, but boy, it really is some big shoes to follow. Jerry Sue Thornton and Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton and General Lyles. I hope to meet even a partial part of the leadership that they have exhibited in those roles, and I'm grateful for it. The committee met yesterday, and in addition to approving minutes, we had updates from our JobsOhio Manager Director of Human Resources, Sheila Akins. 3 of those were discussing the results of a RFP for our executive compensation consultant who advises the committee, and an update on the selection of a consultant to conduct a nationwide search for 2 executive positions, and then a review of the results of the annual performance review process for our entire team. That's my report, Chair Rubin.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions or comments for Rick? Hearing none, thank you. The next report is from our investment committee, and unfortunately, our chair of that committee, John Bishop, is not able to be with us today, so JP is going to pinch hit for him. JP.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. The committee met yesterday morning with minutes of the previous meeting and being reviewed and approved. During this third quarter of the fiscal year, the committee reviewed and approved or recommended a total of nearly $17.5 million of incentives in 4 core economic development projects. Companies involved would commit to create or retain at least 440 total new jobs and associated payroll of nearly $42.9 million, and will make capital investments of almost $1.5 billion in Ohio. The committee then met yesterday afternoon, recommended, and the full board later approved a major contract for services to provide media for JobsOhio's talent attraction campaign. Also during yesterday's meeting, the committee recommended and the full board later approved the 2024 targets for each of JobsOhio's 10 core industry sectors, as well as other JobsOhio 2.0 economic development strategies. After project approvals, with the authority of the committee, and the committee received and discussed updates on potential incentives in the Columbus, Ohio State University Nationwide Children's-Led Innovation District, and in Northeast Ohio, as well as proprietary and strategic information involving investments by JobsOhio to support the JobsOhio beverage system. Finally, the committee received and discussed the corporation's investment portfolio. This includes the investment committee report.
Thank you, JP. Any questions or comments from the board for JP? Hearing none, thanks for that report. Next item of business is to see if we have any new business from the board. Does anybody have any new business that they would like to raise at this time? No? Okay, moving right along here. Usually at this point in the board, we give a chance for all of our directors to make a few closing remarks. So we will go around the horn here. Dr. Thornton, if you are prepared, I'll kick it over to you, and please share what's on your mind.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd just like to say it's such a pleasure to see General Lyles. General, we miss you greatly. We miss your expertise, your insights. I've learned so much from you about human resources, compensation, probably more than I ever thought I'd know, and I so appreciate your leadership. We will miss seeing you on a regular basis, but we know you're there and we can outreach at any point for your expertise.
Thank you.
Good to see you. I would also just like to go back and mention that the chair acknowledged JP's 5th year anniversary as the CEO and leader of JobsOhio. I was appointed a year before JP, so I had an opportunity to witness his incoming to JobsOhio and then his leadership throughout these last 5 years. And I would just like to comment on that since I preceded him and had a front row seat in his entry to the leadership level. JP, you have done an outstanding job in those 5 years. We look forward to many more, but certainly your leadership on the impact of economic development in the state of Ohio has truly been meaningful. You've worked in collaboration with state and regional partners and a wonderful team of talented individuals at JobsOhio to really put Ohio even more so on the map. I think you've helped us stretch our thinking about our outreach and what we can do in terms of attracting companies to Ohio and certainly even attracting individuals to come and live in Ohio beyond the jobs and beyond the companies. So thank you very much for your leadership. I look forward to another 5 years and more as we continue this really important work for JobsOhio. And lastly, I would just like to say, as we ended up discussing the leadership reviews and the annual reviews of the team at JobsOhio, I'm reminded of the tremendous talent we have that every day come to work quietly, but get the job done. Your executive team and your team overall certainly performs well. And as a board member, I would just like to give accolades to all of you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. Scott, I will turn it over to you, but before I do so, I want to say I was remiss before. I had mentioned the general service, obviously, and JP's service. I did not mention your service as a captain. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, JP. I guess I'll go through with a bunch of thank yous, really, because thanks, Ohio State, for hosting us here. Thank you to the folks in Lima. It's always good that we take this board meeting around the state, seeing the different areas and the impacts that JobsOhio is making and getting to meet all the people. Thank you to the JobsOhio staff. We definitely understand and appreciate what goes into what happens behind the scenes and the content and the work to make a couple of days like this successful. And our regional partners that we see each and every time, no matter where we are in the state during these board meetings, you're out supporting and a critical part of making the JobsOhio mission work. Really also thank you. It was great that we were able to highlight that mill-fed sector. So thanks for doing that here in this public session. And thank you to our state military advisors who we got to hear from today. as you all have heard, years and years and years of support. Not living in the state, I guess 3 out of the 4 don't even live in the state, but they understand the importance of Ohio and not only to our mill-fed sector and how important their service is, but what they do for national security on a day-to-day basis. Also, thank you. I want to reiterate General Lyles. It was fantastic being able to serve with you on this board, and we all learned so much from you. And best wishes in your new endeavors, but it was great to serve with you on the Jobs Ohio board. And then finally, happy anniversary, 5th anniversary to JP.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Lori?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, General Lyles, it's been wonderful to serve with you on this board, so thank you for your service. You know, I'm going to kind of flash back in time a little bit. A few years ago, well, more than a few years ago, to be honest, I went to college at Ohio Northern University, and it's, 15 minutes or so from Lima. And when I was there, we would come to Lima for fun and for food. And I must say, I have really great memories of Lima. And so coming here and being here the past couple days, it just really made my heart happy. We got to see firsthand the impact of, what the Jobs Ohio Vibrant Communities grant can do for revitalizing a community in partnership with all the locals. And, downtown Lima, it's rejuvenated. It's beautiful. We walked around last night. I want to say thank you to the Jobs Ohio team for having this type of a grant in their toolbox. And also congratulations to all the local stakeholders, because you're the ones that had the vision and you're the ones that then, executed on it and made it happen. And so well done to you. And I just want to add on, we heard today that there are 21 other communities in Ohio that have utilized the Jobs Ohio Vibrant Community Grant. And so I hope that we continue to see more folks that can be inspired by what they've done here in Lima and those other communities, and get access to that grant money that Jobs Ohio has available. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Rick?
In all 35 years I've been coming to Lima, I guess there are 3 things that I think about. In oil. Been here a long time, part of that legacy of Lima and Northwest Ohio. I was glad to have met Heather last night running Canovis's refinery here. It's easy to see that good things are going to be happening and so vital to our economy in Ohio. I think of tanks, vital to our national defense, but also provides that economic benefit for the community. It's also vital for our allies around the world. And then thirdly, I think of all things manufacturing. That's really the legacy of Lima and Allen County. When the governor says it's Ohio's time, I really that doesn't happen without it also being Allen County's time and Lima's time. So the fact that we're #1 in GDP in the Midwest is owed to much of the places like Lima and Allen County. And I'll echo my fellow board members in celebrating the 5 years JP's time at the helm. I joined this board shortly after he was selected so I've had a front row seat for the 5 years, and I've just been mightily impressed on recognizing how culture matters in terms of how a team performs, and that team approach. We could all learn from JP and how to do that. And then Ohio it is Ohio's time because of JP's time in that seat, and look forward to the future time as well. So thank you for your service.
Well said. JP.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and fellow board members. I want to thank you for all of your volunteer excellent work on behalf of Ohio. Our entire Jobs Ohio team, we all greatly appreciate your insights and value your roll-up-the-sleeves practical volunteerism in support of this effort. This board meeting has been very special to me personally. I'm a member of an Air Force family. My father served 30 years and retired from an assignment at Ripat. And like many Air Force families, and you heard this, we have someone not from Ohio, Scott Sullivan. We heard from Elaine, many others, that Air Force families that move around, our hometown becomes what we make of it. And Carmen and I chose to make Ohio our home after I served 8 years myself on active duty. The benefits of being America's most military and veteran-friendly state are a lived experience for me and for many of us. So we can all see it, obviously, in the prosperity that comes with it, from all the jobs that are created and the economic impact that's generated from that sector. But those of us who came here with the military or stayed here after our service can feel it in our communities, through our neighbors who welcome us with open arms, welcome us into sometimes they've been here for multiple generations and they welcome strangers that move in to their hometown. This happens in Ohio. It does not happen everywhere. We celebrate the valuing of that service through the generosity of sponsor-backed programs like the Hometown Heroes and the Big Hoopla, where many of you who never served in the military, it's your way of saying thank you. You donate and make tickets available so those military families, maybe the parent is deployed overseas, like you heard from General Mosley, 34 straight years, they can feel part of that community. And that hometown feeling is extended to the military members and their children and their spouses. And this week, as you heard, marked 5 years here at Jobs Ohio. For me, it's been incredible to be able to serve with this team and this board, and especially under leadership of outstanding historic figure in Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Husted and their administration, all of you here, and your predecessors on the board, and a myriad of other partners that help Ohioans to deliver a nation-leading economic development effort. As we heard from our panel, the other reason this is very special here is that we know Ohio has a bright future even during very challenging times. Ohio, as it always has, will step up and play an important role in what comes next. And I want to thank our panelists for their continued commitment to this effort. I truly have love in my heart for all of you. You've all become family and friends, but at this moment, I would also like to take a bit of time to single out General Lyles. I've known General Lyles for more than 40 years. General Lyles is the reason I came back to Ohio. He nominated me for a position that brought me back to Wright-Patterson, or I would have stayed in California for some unknown period of time. General Lyles exemplifies the highest qualities of leadership and character and service and impact that one individual can aspire to achieve in both military and civilian life. And much of his career and civic contributions have been right here in Ohio, and he's been crucial to what you've seen and heard about today that's happening in our state beyond his military service. For the last 4 years, General Lyles has also served as Governor DeWine's appointee to the Jobs Ohio Board of Directors, and as you heard, as chairman of the Comp and Workforce Committee. He's always cared about people and made the people the center of accomplishing the mission. And like the rest of this board, it's a volunteer, unpaid position. General Lyles has devoted full attention and served with distinction, as he always does, helping guide our organization through a major expansion from Jobs Ohio 1.0 to Jobs Ohio 2.0 through a global pandemic. As Ohio worked to seize the generational opportunity in front of us, an industrial renaissance for the Midwest, he's been there every step of the way. And now, after a 35 years plus of active duty military career, decades more in service, beyond that, General Lyles is going to get a day off, at least when it comes to service on the Jobs Ohio board. And it's with a touch of sadness, but an overwhelming sense of appreciation and respect that I get to, thank you, publicly announce General Lyles' decision to step down and away from the Jobs Ohio Board of Directors. Obviously, he's going to be sorely missed, but I'm happy to say he's still given me his central phone number, not his direct line, but his central line, and look forward to staying in touch with General Lyles. There's no way that we can fully convey our admiration for him and the appreciation that Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Husted, and Jobs Ohio partners and clients have for him. So I'll let them speak for themselves in the following tribute. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Roll the tape.
General Lyles has lived a life of service. Here's a man whose whole career has been about serving others. And he truly understands that if you have a mission, the most important mission is to be of service. That's General Lyles.
So many people he's mentored have gone on to do amazing things for the country and their communities. He will forever have a lasting legacy of service through the work that they do as well.
I think if you were to look at a dictionary definition of service, you would have General Lyles prominently featured in the definition. You believe and give to something that is bigger than yourself, and he definitely personified that.
Really talked about, can you be tough and be a good leader at the same time? He said, I got that advice all the time through my career. I never listened to it. I decided if I couldn't be a nice guy, be tough when you had to, but if I couldn't be respectful and good to people along the way, then I didn't want the promotions. I didn't want, that wasn't my definition of success.
When he was the Air Force Materiel Command 4-star, he interviewed me, Colonel J.T. Thompson, for a job. In the end, I was not selected for that job, but General Lyles insisted on calling me and telling me I didn't make the cut. I always felt like I needed to be the leader that could deliver the bad news, not just the good news. And every time I did it, I thought of General Lyles and the lesson that he taught me.
I was with him 9/11. And I remember very, very specifically General Lyles' uncompromising leadership during that very, very trying day. He brought great comfort and stability to those in the community and the families of the military members in a very, very uncertain day and uncertain time.
I remember when we first started the Dayton Hoopla, and he came to town, and he was just one of the biggest advocates for what we were doing. He got it, and he was there, and been there ever since.
General Lyles epitomizes a man that wants to be a true partner, whether it would be from the military and federal installations and the men and women in the community, the educational communities, and so on, that we all need to work together to accomplish things, and that's what General Lyles does when you have him on your team.
Any of these initiatives and the programs and stuff that I've been associated with, that's why they're successful. It's the General Lyles' time and effort, the advice and the willingness to support a vision no matter where it comes from, and if it makes really good sense and it's for the greater good, and it's particularly around military veterans, he's all in, and he brings everything that he represents to bear.
Not many people remember this, but he was also Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force, which is a huge job. So he brought a lot to Ohio, and then he never left Ohio in essence, and we appreciate that. We're his adopted state, and we've benefited so greatly from his involvement.
He's the closer, and we were working on a project with Sierra Nevada Corporation, and we were this close to getting it to over the finish line, and General Lyles made a call into the owners of the company, who he knows extremely well, and gave one final pitch of kind of why Dayton, why Ohio, and I think that was the fastball that got us to the finish line.
Regardless of the topic we discussed, there was always one constant common thread: doing the right thing for our country. I remember the day I received a call from him about the advantages of investing in Ohio and building hangars. Just a year after that call, we built and opened a state-of-the-art 100,000 square foot hangar in the Dayton region, which is the first and largest private military hangar of its kind since World War II.
General Lyles' life of service and selflessness has profoundly impacted the state of Ohio. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base has doubled in size and is now the largest single-site employer in Ohio. His work as an advocate for Ohio encourages businesses to establish significant operations here. General Lyles partnered on the Sierra Nevada Corporation and the Joby Aviation deals to reestablish Ohio as an aviation manufacturing power. These deals, along with General Lyles' work with Battelle, Frontier Technologies, support United States defense missions across the globe. General Lyles' more recent support of NASA, NASA Glenn Research Center, and the National Space Council's User Advisory Group as chair means that his leadership will have a lasting legacy beyond Earth, and that many of the pathways to space come through Ohio. General Lyles' commitment to the communities he has served has shown the importance of building military and military family-friendly communities. Ohio now strives to be the most military-friendly state in the nation, and we're well on our way. General Lyles has been quoted saying, "It's always enjoyable for me to do anything that helps the people to make the best of themselves and to do the best they can and help improve their work and life situations." General Lyles has truly helped Ohio be the best version of itself by standing in our corner and opening doors so others learn about the Ohio opportunity. Countless citizens have learned how they can improve their work and life situations right here in the heart of it all.
General Lyles, thank you for your personal friendship and most importantly for your service to Dayton, Ohio, to Wright Pat, to our great state, and to the United States of America.
Thank you for your service to Dayton, to Ohio, and to the military. We've put our trust in you, and you've delivered every time.
Very grateful for you and for your wonderful family for allowing us to be part of your life and for allowing Ohio to benefit from your incredible service and your work. We're very grateful.
I have measured every one of my decisions, both in the military and outside, compared to what I think you would do. You have been my model. You have been my yardstick of what a true leader and what a true decision maker really models oneself against. I have to say thank you, sir, for all of that.
No one ever feels small next to you. You raise them, you help to raise them up into a way of life that is, they feel capable. They feel like they can.
Les, thank you.
Thank you, General Lyles and Mrs. Lyles and your whole family. We're very grateful.
General Lyles, thank you for everything you've done.
From Montgomery County, the Dayton region, and all of Ohio, all of our country, thank you.
Thank you, General Lyles.
Thank you, General Lyles.
Thank you, General Lyles.
Thank you, General Lyles. You're the most kind, humble, and considerate person.
Thank you, General Lyles.
General Lyles, thank you.
Chairman Rubin, the JobsOhio Board, Jerry, Sue, Rick, Sully, John Bishop, others, Don Grubbs, and the entire team. I'm blown away and very, very humbled. I can't tell you, I'm almost speechless, if you will. I probably don't deserve near any of the comments that were made, but it's been an honor to be part of your team there, and I will continue in any way I can to support Ohio, JobsOhio, and any one of the great men and women in uniform for the United States Air Force, the United States Space Force, and other services too. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Leadership is inspiring, isn't it? Thanks again to all of you for being here. Thank you to the City of Lima and to the university. This has been a fantastic trip. Our next board meeting will be Thursday, June 12th, and hopefully we will see you all there at a location to be determined. And unless there are no other comments from our board, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.